What if everything you knew about one of the most famous outlaws in history was wrong? What if the story told in textbooks and Hollywood films was built on a single, deliberate lie? On July 14, 1881, Sheriff Pat Garrett was said to have ended the life of William H. Bonney, Billy the Kid. The legend was dead. The case was closed. But the people of Fort Sumner weren't convinced. The body was buried in a hurry, and the official inquest was conducted by Garrett's own political allies. But what if the bullet didn't kill Billy the Kid? What if it was all a carefully staged deception designed to let the kid vanish forever? And what if, nearly 70 years later, a frail old man from Texas walked into a lawyer's office, covered in bullet and knife scars, and uttered 5 words that would shatter history? My name is Billy the Kid. This is the true story of Brushy Bill Roberts, the 93% facial recognition match, the promised pardon, and the evidence that suggests the West's most iconic outlaw got away. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel to help support our community. Brushy Billy Robert, who also went by the names William Henry Roberts, Ollie Partridge, William Roberts, Ollie N. Roberts, or Ollie L. Roberts, stated his date of birth was December 31, 1859. He rose to prominence during the late 1940s and 1950s by putting forward a remarkable assertion. He declared that he was in fact William H. Bonney, the infamous Western criminal popularly known as Billy the Kid, who was officially believed to have died in 1881. In 1950, the then governor of New Mexico, Thomas J. Mabry, treated Roberts's declaration with doubt and ultimately rejected it. Brushy Bill's narrative has received increased backing, partly due to the endorsement of the Billy the Kid Museum, situated in his hometown of Hyco in Hamilton County, Texas. Across the decades, his account has been subjected to examination and has captured popular interest, appearing in different outlets such as a 2011 installment of Brad Meltzer's Decoded and a 1989 segment by Robert Stack for Unsolved Mysteries. In 1948, William V. Morrison, a probate investigator from St. Louis, made a curious finding upon encountering an older gentleman named Joe Hines. Hines related to Morrison his own recollections from the time of the Lincoln County War. To Morrison's astonishment, Hines suggested that Billy the Kid was still living but would not disclose his specific identity or location. Captivated by this information, Morrison began a mission to locate the individual professing to be Billy the Kid. In his pursuit, he encountered a different elderly man in 1948 named J. Frank Dalton from Lawton, Oklahoma. Dalton, who alleged he was Jesse James, remarkably stated that Billy the Kid was residing in Hamilton, Texas, under the name C.V. Roberts. After initiating communication, Morrison built a rapport with Roberts, who finally made a stunning admission that he himself was Billy the Kid. Roberts proceeded to supply elaborate particulars regarding his claimed life as an outlaw, offering persuasive stories that could potentially address major omissions in the established history of Billy the Kid. Additionally, he asked for Morrison's assistance in securing an official pardon, which he stated had been pledged to him by New Mexico Governor Lew Wallace in 1879, a commitment that was later withdrawn. To further substantiate his declaration, Roberts demonstrated a remarkable skill for freeing himself from handcuffs. He also claimed that Pat Garrett, the renowned sheriff, had actually killed a different man named Billy Barlow and had presented the body as that of the Kid. This permitted the Kid to vanish and flee to Mexico. The only 3 people present as witnesses to Pat Garrett's reported killing of Billy the Kid were Garrett himself, alongside his deputies John W. Poe and Thomas McKinney. While McKinney stated he possessed some knowledge about the Kid, Poe had never previously seen him. Moments after Garrett fired his weapon, Poe told him he had shot the incorrect individual, as the room was too dark to make a visual identification. However, Garrett insisted that he had identified the kid by his voice, even though those in the room had only heard whispering. Ultimately, both Poe and McKinney supported Garrett's conclusion, but many years afterwards, McKinney withdrew his original account and reiterated Poe's earlier assertion that Garrett had slain another person. Inhabitants of Fort Sumner promptly expressed their skepticism regarding the reported death of the kid. Garrett swiftly arranged an inquiry carried out by his political associates, which served to solidify the official story of the killing and the associated bounty. The following day, the remains were interred in a rushed ceremony, and the burial site was subsequently lost for many years due to flooding. The grave is now designated as being likely empty, and formal requests to perform an exhumation have been rejected. During his discussions with Morrison, Roberts indicated he was prepared to disclose the full story contingent upon a single requirement: the absolute pardon that Governor Wallace had assured Billy the Kid following the Lincoln County War. This unexpected emergence of Roberts, coupled with his appeal for a pardon, significantly affected the descendants of Pat Garrett. Marshall Tremble, the appointed state historian of Arizona, references Frederick Nolan, a recognized expert on the history of Billy the Kid. Nolan alludes to a 1987 letter written by Geneva Pittman to Joe Bolin, who established a historical society known as the Billy the Kid Outlaw Gang. Within this correspondence, Pittman stated that her uncle, referred to as Brushy Bill, was actually named Oliver P. Roberts, and that his birth date was August 26, 1879, as documented in the family Bible. Brushy and his account faded into obscurity until the movie. Young Guns 2 depicted him as the character narrating the incidents related to Billy the Kid's life and the Lincoln County War. Numerous publications were produced concerning this enigma, and investigators started probing the validity of Brushy's assertions, which involved multiple unsuccessful petitions to secure approval for excavation and genetic analysis. A major examination occurred in 1990 at the Advanced Imaging Research and Graphics Laboratory, located at the University of Texas. Imaging specialists Scott Acton and Alan Bovick employed photographic analysis technology to assess pictures of Brushy Bill Roberts, taken when he was 14 years old. Notably, these photographs showed a remarkable likeness to the established visage of Billy the Kid, which was widely circulated in the popular Dedrick Upham tintype. Moreover, upon analyzing a photograph of the 71-year-old Brushy Bill, Acton and Bovick concluded there was a notable 93% correlation between the two subjects. Both specialists concurred that the findings conclusively indicated an extraordinary resemblance between Roberts and the legendary figure of Billy the Kid. Brushy Bill passed away from a severe heart attack on December 27, 1950, in Hico, Texas. His final resting place is in Hamilton County, located 20 miles to the south of Hico. The community in Fort Sumner promptly expressed their doubts concerning the kid's alleged demise. Garrett rapidly assembled a review through his political connections, thereby reinforcing the narrative of the killing and securing the associated reward. The subsequent day saw a swift interment in a plot that was later lost for decades due to river overflows. Currently, the site is noted as probably being vacant, and appeals for its excavation have been formally rejected. During his dialogues with Morrison, Roberts declared he was ready to disclose everything, contingent on one stipulation: the absolute pardon that Governor Wallace had guaranteed to Billy the Kid following the Lincoln County War. Roberts's unforeseen emergence, combined with his appeal for clemency, deeply affected the family of Pat Garrett. Marshall Tremble, the designated state historian for Arizona, references Frederick Nolan, a distinguished scholar on Billy the Kid's era. Nolan points to a 1987 letter from Geneva Pittman to Joe Bolin, who established an enthusiast society named the Billy the Kid Outlaw Gang. Inquiry was undertaken at the Advanced Imaging Research and Graphics Laboratory located at the University of Texas. Imaging specialists Scott Acton and Alan Bovick employed comparative photographic software to analyze images of a 14-year-old Brushy Bill Roberts. These pictures demonstrated a remarkable alignment with the well-known depiction of Billy the Kid from the widely circulated Dedrick Upham tintype. Additionally, upon evaluating a photograph of Brushy Bill at age 71, Acton and Bovick calculated a 93% correlation between the two sets of images. The specialists concurred that the evidence conclusively indicated an extraordinary resemblance between Roberts and the legendary outlaw, Billy the Kid. Brushy Bill passed away from a severe heart attack on December 27, 1950, in Hico, Texas. His burial site is located in Hamilton County, 20 miles to the south of Hico. Morrison attested that his inspection of Roberts's corpse revealed 26 distinct scars from bullets and knives. A coordinated initiative was launched in 2003 by Lincoln County Sheriff Tom Sullivan, Capitan Mayor Steve Setterwall, and Tobacco County Sheriff Gary Graves. Their objective was to exhume the remains of Billy the Kid and his mother, Catherine Antrim, aiming to use genetic testing to confirm the outlaw's true resting place in Fort Sumner. This undertaking, however, faced numerous difficulties, primarily the ambiguity regarding the precise burial site and a series of legal confrontations. A judicial ruling was ultimately issued in September 2004, which formally blocked the disinterment of the two bodies. So, who was Brushy Bill Roberts? A brilliant impostor, spinning a tale so detailed it could fool historians and image analysis software? Or was he the man history forgot, the real Billy the Kid, who finally came home to tell his story and claim the pardon he was promised? The courts have refused to let us dig for the truth. The official records remain unchanged. The legend that Pat Garrett created is the one that endures. But the questions linger far louder than the answers. We are left with a choice. Do we believe the convenient story of a death in a dark room, a story supported only by the man who had everything to gain from it? Or do we believe the old man, with his 26 scars and his intimate knowledge, who carried his secret for a lifetime only to be dismissed when he finally spoke? The evidence is here. The grave in Fort Sumner is likely empty. The man in Texas is buried under a different name. The question is no longer if they lied, but why? And more importantly, what do you believe? Drop your thoughts on the comment section.